The Age of Treason, a Novella Chapter 1, The Age of Treason, His love is treason. I'm lost in the sea of time. I am merely a memory of seas gone by. I am lost in time's wake. Long forgotten is my world and time. I am just a shadow of a shell, my old home. Cry not for my loss, I am beauty in death's ardent clutch. Death has no worry for the dead. My world is dead, and my time is too. I with the fishes of my seas swam in my era, now I am just a neat relic of past life on ancient earth. My bones have melted away and become part of my stone shadow, a fossil, sang the Emperor of the Universe on a stage somewhere in Melbourne City. He was singing of a fossil ammonite, but he himself was lost in time. He was a time traveler living in the past like the fossil in the song, so far back he was 1200 or so. He obviously wasn't human. He was of a near-immortal alien race called the Magicians, who could only die if hurt. But he was different. He had died many times only to return to life again. Unlike the rest of his race who died forever, he couldn't stay dead. His grim Reaper soul healed him and returned him to life. He was not the only Reaper, but he was the only one who died to return to life again. Likewise, he was the only magician to have the trait of returning to life, which was seen as living dead. He'd been deposed before when he was found out last time in another life as another man. His grandson. A complication of time travel, he became his own grandfather. Another was he was still married to his grandson's wife. It had been until now a good marriage, and they were happily married. This song marked the end of the happy marriage. At this performance was the aggregate, the grit that formed the pearl of love that cleaved apart the happy couple of Fred the Emperor and his secret wife Angela, or Princess Anatase, commonly called Anna. In the audience, he spied her, the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He was lost. She noticed she liked him too. She knew that he was a famous man. She saw him at his work at the stage door at the theater. He was a noted stage magician who worked there. He forgot his wife and took her to lunch for a month to the world. He was merely a widower who had lost his wife. She was very enchanted by this enchanter, and she wanted to be his wife one day. He thought of her alone. His living wife found him distracted. Until one day, Fred, said his best friend Prince Blake, himself 1,000 years younger, another time traveler. He posed as the grandson and the husband of Anna. Blake, what is it? Asked Fred a little too abruptly. I only wanted to know how you were. Don't bite off my head, said the younger man. Fred apologized for his rudeness and walked off to see the lady. Blake followed him. Fred seemed oblivious to him. All he could see was his love. Who is she, Gramps? Blake said to Fred, noticing his ardor. You still here, Blake? Asked Fred, noticing him. Yes, said Blake firmly. Tourmaline green, Fred virtually sang. He knew Fred was in love with her. It did not make Blake happy, his older self forgetting their wife, who they both had worshipped. Blake dragged Fred away from Tourmaline, who looked sad to see him go. Fred was livid. What do you think you are doing? Said Fred. Furiously. Blake glared at Fred. I am being a friend, said Blake. That is not the act of a friend, accused Fred. That is not the act of a loving husband, said the frowning Blake. And father, remember Anna is pregnant with your child. You always wanted to be her husband, you can have her, said Fred. Blake looked at Fred, knowing he was a traitor and a madman. Is that what you think of her, a party favor, you can pass on to another man? You do not deserve her, said the disgusted Blake. You stupid brat. I am not passing her to a stranger, you are her husband, snapped back Fred, disgusted. So are you, shouted Blake. Why are you arguing, said Anna, walking into the room. You know you are a talking point out there, everyone can hear you, Anna said, not sure what the argument was over. Fred is giving you to me, said Blake, frowning. Giving me to you? Said Anna, shocked. He's found a gold digger to replace you, huffed Blake. How dare you? Tourmaline is not a gold digger, said Fred, looking daggers at Blake. Fred, how could you? Anna said, crying. I hope you are truly happy with Anna, I'd ask for a divorce, but Anna and I are not married, Fred said. He's truly the Lizard of Oz, said Blake, disgusted. You know, you're calling yourself that? Fred said, amused. I mean it, said Blake. Fred sighed, knowing he was getting nowhere arguing with them, so he left to be with Tourmaline. Fred danced with Tourmaline all night, full of the passion that love brings. He ignored a man who sat watching him curiously, pondering how to deal with him. It was not Blake in any form. It was a killer, who knew Fred well enough to know his secret that he could not die and remain so. He also knew the girl was merely a gold digger. The killer knew only he could fix things. And only death could solve this, and it could cause a rift between him and Fred the size of the universe. The killer did not look forward to what he had to do. Fred took Tourmaline to her home and went inside for a coffee. He sat waiting for her to get the coffee. As he sat on her couch, he heard her scream, and he ran into the kitchen. He saw his son, the serial killer, the necromancer, had just murdered her. Why did you have to do that, you psycho? Demanded the shocked, crying, heartbroken emperor. I had to do it, said the son. No, you didn't. We can bring her back to life, said the emperor, who was a necromancer also. No, Dad, she's dead, said the son. That doesn't matter. I brought back my dad from the dead, said Fred. The killer walked up to his dad and hugged him. Granddad is a zombie, said the killer. Fred's father wasn't a brain-eating zombie. He was a living dead meat puppet of a necromancer, not that he looked it. If you won't save her, I will, said the miserable, grieving, angry emperor. No, Dad, said the killer, holding Fred back. Fred's soul, a reaper, left his body, walked to her, reached towards her and spoke a dark incantation, and she returned to seeing the reaper and her lover dead in the arms of her killer. It's all right, Tourmaline. I saved you. We can still be together, said the reaper, hugging her. Don't, Dad, said the killer. The girl screamed and tore away from him. I won't hurt you, said the reaper. You're scaring her, said the killer. I'm Fred. Don't be scared, said the desperate reaper. Oh my God. No, Fred's dead. I don't want to live without Fred, said Tourmaline, stabbing herself, killing herself. Oh, so she wasn't a gold digger. My bad, said the killer. You, said the angry reaper. Take her soul, you're a reaper, said the killer. I'll look after your body. You are too, said the reaper soul of Fred. You can take her in. You can be with her till you hand her over, said the killer. Thank you, boy, said the reaper soul of Fred. Fred's body was taken away by the killer for safekeeping to return to life later, while the reaper took his love's soul to the afterlife. Chapter 2, Beyond the Veil of Life. I'm lost in the sea of time. I am merely a memory of seas gone by. I am lost in time's wake. Long forgotten is my world and time. I am just a shadow of a shell, my old home. Cry not for my loss, I am beauty in death's ardent clutch. Death has no worry for the dead. My world is dead, and my time is too. I with the fishes of my seas swam in my era, now I am just a neat relic of past life on ancient earth. My bones have melted away and become part of my stone shadow, a fossil, sang Tourmaline Green, a pretty young-looking ghost remembering her favorite memory in her lost life, a time not long before she was murdered by the son of the man who sang it when they first met. She thought he was dead too, but she had not met him on the other side. The singer was the love of her life. She dreamed of meeting him in Elysium, where she lived now as a mere ghost, but that was just a dream. Elsewhere, the man she loved sat alone on the imperial throne of the Emperor of the Universe, sadly dreaming of her. He was the Emperor of the Universe. He missed her too. He was not dead, he was very much alive and was likely to stay so because of a trait Fred the Emperor felt now as a fault in his genes. He died only to return to life again. It was painful to him. He could never see Tourmaline again. He knew she still lived as a ghost in the one place he could never go. He was not immortal, he was living dead, a grim reaper. He had been their judge and king, now he was in hiding, and he knew reapers were meant to leave their loves and friends and families in the afterlife alone and not meet them again in death. He was so sad and lonely. He later in his sleep heard her sing his song. He walked towards her voice to find her singing. As it was only a dream, he was not restrained. He embraced her and lifted her. He spun around with her. She had stopped singing when she saw him. She was happy to see him too. She cried with joy. He tried to kiss her tears away. They were never happier. They sat by a brook and listened to it, enjoying each other's company till dawn, when he awoke in a sweat. He felt so happy to dream of her. While in the other world, Tourmaline was happy to have spent the night with her love. She wondered if he would come back to her again. Fred hadn't realized he had really met her in his true spirit form, beyond the Reaper. He returned to her the next night in his sleep. He still thought he was dreaming. She looked like she did when he saw her the first time. There was nothing more beautiful or radiant than her. He was consumed by his love for her. It was like fire burning hot and bright. He would do anything she asked of him, but the one thing she wanted was for him to stay with her. He once again left with the dawn, waking in a fevered sweat. He lived his days looking forward to the dreams of night where she lived and waited for him to return her. It felt like an ethereal dream to them, their meetings. Neither spoke of their meetings. Tourmaline felt that telling anyone of their meetings would somehow end them, something she did not want. And to Fred, it was merely a perfect dream spent with his love. She was his soulmate. Their souls were linked. It was like an enchantment laid by the master enchanter Fred, but it was beyond him. If it were him doing it, it was done so unconsciously. They met again and lived together at night. The days were merely the intervals between their meetings. She thought of him as night's traveler. They grew more in love the more they met. Tourmaline kept her secret in her heart, as the Reapers read minds. She knew. She met a few in the days there. The Reapers slept at night and were seldom seen in the hours of the night. Little did she suspect one of the sleeping Reapers was her companion of the night. When he realized he was truly meeting her, he drew back and felt conflicted that he was doing something wrong, but it felt so right, and he was less free and easy with her. It made her sad and fear she'd lose him. Fred spoke the next day to an old friend for advice and help. "Daniel, I'm having a strange thing happening to me," Fred confided to his friend Daniel, the Sandman. "What is it?" asked Daniel, who was a magician like Fred and Tourmaline. "I am meeting a lady in my dreams. She is in the afterlife. I took her there. I am a Reaper," Fred confessed. "Does it scare you?" asked Daniel. "Yes, I don't want to lose her, but I am appearing as a spirit form that looks like me, not my spirit form as a Reaper," said Fred. "That's complicated. I'll have to look that up. You be careful not to get caught," said Daniel. That night, Fred was surprised to see the Sandman in his dreams. "How are you in the afterlife?" said Fred, seeing his friend the Sandman in the afterlife. "I hijacked your dream," said Daniel. "Why?" asked Fred. "I had to see you," said Daniel. "Okay, thank you," said Fred. "I found out why you see her in your dreams," said Daniel. "Why?" asked Fred. She is," stammered Daniel, seeing her walking up to them. "Who is she?" asked Fred. "Your wife," Daniel said. "Who?" asked Fred. "Hesperus, your second wife," said Daniel. "You," said Tourmaline, recognizing him. "No, she's Tourmaline Green," said Fred. "Have you forgotten your own wife, my emperor? She is her soul," said Daniel. "How could that be? She died a month ago. My wife died 30 years ago," said Fred. "She was reincarnated, it seems," said the Sandman, confused. "What again?" said Fred, even more confused. "She wasn't his first wife to have been reincarnated." "Again?" asked Tourmaline, frowning. "His first wife Angela was reincarnated too," said Daniel. "You know me. You know who I really am," said Fred. "I am the King of Dreams. I know you better than you know yourself," said Daniel. "First wife?" said Tourmaline shortly. I thought he was married once. Who is he, Bluebeard? It's complicated. He was born as his grandson, Blake, then he was trapped in the past with amnesia to become the Emperor of the universe, said Daniel. Fred stood puzzled, not sure what to do or say after that reminder of who he was. Fred had thought of himself as Fred to keep himself sane. This confused him. Blake? Aren't you the Grand Reaper, the king of the Grim Reapers? Asked Tourmaline, who was losing her ardor for Fred fast. Yes? Said Fred nervously. You were that weird Grim Reaper who brought me back to life when I was murdered by your son, said Tourmaline. Yes, said Fred, feeling a fool. Who are you married to if you have 2 wives? Asked Tourmaline. He's married to Angela, they were never divorced, and you are dead, said Daniel. Tourmaline looked at Fred, who looked awkward. See you in another life, when you aren't married, said Tourmaline, who stormed off. You won't come back here again. I spoke to your son the timekeeper, he said you won't return here, so we had to end things here with a little reality, said Daniel. How did she reincarnate? Asked Fred, and how can I be here? Apparently it's natural and sometimes happens that a soul reincarnates, and you are astral traveling in this reoccurring dream. It's not meant to happen to you, this is a faulty dream. You are meant to be dreaming of her, not meeting her, said Daniel. Oh, said Fred. Come with me, I have to lock off this place without us being here, said Daniel, opening a bright dream portal which they walked into and were gone. Chapter 3, The Shadows of Eternity. Life is just a shadow of eternity. I found out why you see her in your dreams, said Daniel. Why? Asked Fred. She is, stammered Daniel, seeing her walking up to them. Who is she? Asked Fred. Your wife, Daniel said. Who? Asked Fred. Hesperus, your second wife, said Daniel. You? Said Tourmaline, recognizing him. No, she's Tourmaline Green, said Fred. Have you forgotten your own wife, my emperor? She is her soul, said Daniel. How could that be? She died a month ago, my wife died 30 years ago, said Fred. She was reincarnated it seems, said Daniel the Sandman, confused. What again? Said Fred, even more confused. She wasn't his first wife to have been reincarnated. Again? Asked Tourmaline, frowning. His first wife Angela was reincarnated too, said Daniel. You know me. You know who I really am, said Fred. I am the King of Dreams. I know you better than you know yourself, said Daniel. First wife? Said Tourmaline shortly. I thought he was married once. Who is he, Bluebeard? It's complicated. He was born as his grandson, Blake, then he was trapped in the past with amnesia to become the Emperor of the universe, said Daniel. Fred stood puzzled, not sure what to do or say after that reminder of who he was. Fred had thought of himself as Fred to keep himself sane. This confused him. Blake? Aren't you the Grand Reaper, the king of the Grim Reapers? Asked Tourmaline, who was losing her ardor for Fred fast. Yes? Said Fred nervously. You were that weird Grim Reaper who brought me back to life when I was murdered by your son, said Tourmaline. Yes, said Fred, feeling a fool. Who are you married to if you have 2 wives? Asked Tourmaline. He's married to Angela, they were never divorced, and you are dead, said Daniel. Tourmaline looked at Fred, who looked awkward. See you in another life, when you aren't married, said Tourmaline, who stormed off. Fred tossed and turned. He hated that dream. It was his last goodbye to his beloved reincarnated second wife Hesperus, who was reborn as Tourmaline Green, a woman he loved who was murdered by his son Lance, the necromancer, a killer magician. Fred woke up and went to the bathroom and came out dressed. He cooked some toast and a boiled egg, sadly haunted by his dream. He ate his breakfast, walked outside to his car, and drove to visit a friend. He parked his car and walked to the front door of the studio of his artist friend. Fred knocked on the front door. The artist opened the door. Fred saw a nude model and wanted to leave. Come in, Fred, said Aureus, the artist. Fred had to. Otherwise he would have left. "Hello, Aureus," said Fred, blushing, seeing his son the model walking up to him and hugging him. "Hello, Lance, don't do that," said the awkward Fred, looking away from his son, who enjoyed tormenting people. "Nice outfit, Dad," said Lance. Fred was dressed as an emperor, which he was. He was the emperor of the universe. The artist was an emperor, too. Aureus was the emperor of the solar system. "Wait over there, Fred, I'm finishing off the nude portrait," said Aureus. Lance pose. "Mind if I stay to see the regal portrait done?" asked Lance, returning to his pose. "Okay," said Aureus. 5 minutes later, Aureus was finished. Lance looked at the picture, admiring it. "Nice work, Aureus," said Lance. "You should look, it's really good, Dad." Fred looked nervous and blushed. "No," said Emperor Fred, ever the prude. "It's all right, Fred," said Aureus, understanding Fred felt awkward. Aureus set up for Fred's picture and posed for the fully clothed emperor portrait. "Smile," said Aureus, noting Fred looked sad, and it ruined the picture with a sad, nervous emperor. Fred grimaced. "No smile," said Aureus. "He's upset still, he's still thinking of that green woman," said Lance, reading Fred's mind. Fred looked awkward. "Keep out of my head, boy," said Fred. "Ew, I want to," said Lance, seeing something he didn't want to see. Fred, mind if Lance poses as you?" asked Aureus. "No. I don't want a nude picture of me," said Fred, horrified. "No, can you strip off and let Lance dress and pose as you?" asked Aureus. "No. I am not going nude," shouted Fred. "No, you can change into another outfit in the other room," said Aureus. "Why?" asked Fred suspiciously. "You don't look like an emperor, you are too sad," said Aureus. Fred glared at him. "I am the emperor," said Fred. "It's for you," said Aureus. 10 minutes later, Fred was wandering around in a loose-fitting white shirt and pants, and Lance, who looked like his father's happy twin, was posing as the emperor. Fred felt even more awkward. "Fred, I'll need to make some notes later," said Aureus. "Okay," said Fred, not sure what the notes were. Aureus painted the picture of Lance and made Fred sit, and Aureus painted a bad, undignified portrait of the nervous, sad, awkward emperor. It made him even more so when Lance pointed out that he looked like he was in his night clothes. Fred changed back to his clothes and left when the work was done. Days later, Fred glumly unveiled Lance's portrait in the Intergalactic Parliament House. People said it was a great picture, it looked like the emperor, which it was not. Lance laughed, he knew it wasn't him. Chapter 4, The Emperor in Pompeii. "Nice place for a holiday this Morgan, but I'd hate to be here on a bad day," said Fred, the emperor of the universe, to his son and the universe's prime minister, Morganite. They were on holiday in Italy, so they visited Pompeii. "The day the volcano erupted was a definitely bad day," said Morganite, watching an excavation of 2 bodies in a prison cell. They were skeletons taller than the local Romans, so obviously it was a big event. "Wonder if they were magicians?" asked Morganite. "We think they were prisoners, this was a prison," one of the archaeologists said, hearing the tourists. "Want to help?" asked the head archaeologist. "Yes, this reminds me of the old days," said Fred, a former coroner. "There is something strangely familiar about the skeletons, I feel I know them somehow," Morganite said. When they touched them, something even stranger happened. Fred and Morganite appeared in the cell when it looked clean and used. "What happened?" asked Morganite, seeing a man in a toga. "We appear to have traveled in time," said Fred, noting he was now in a Roman outfit. Morganite laughed. "What is it, boy?" asked Fred. "You look like Julius Caesar," said Morganite. "So do you," said Fred, puzzled. "I think they were magicians." "We should get out of here," said Morganite. "Yes," Fred agreed. They teleported outside the building and saw more people in togas. They were wandering around as if it was nothing odd to see people in togas. They were walking around doing their own business, talking Latin to each other. "Do you speak Latin?" asked Morganite. "No, I hoped you did," said Fred. "Hope we don't have to speak to anyone here," Morganite said. "May as well take in the sights while we're here," said Fred. "Yeah," said Morganite. There was an earthquake. "Oh great, the holiday is over," said Fred, looking at the local volcano Mount Vesuvius. "The volcano's going to blow, we need to get out of here," Fred said. "Should we call the timekeeper, Tempest?" asked Morganite. "He's been ignoring me lately," said Fred. "We should try," said Morganite. "Yes," said Fred, clearing his throat, drawing in a deep breath, and said, "Tempest, open a portal." "Germanicus and Teutonicus," the locals muttered, hearing him. A voice boomed out of nowhere. "I can't help you even if I wanted to help you, which I don't. You are in a fixed point in time," said the voice of Tempest. "Vox Deorum," cried the scared locals. Roughly translated as voice of the gods. Naturally, they thought it was God-related. It was an expected unknown phenomenon. "Can't you help us at all?" asked Morganite. "Druids," said a soldier, turning on the people who were speaking to the god. "Druides ex Britannia sunt, non-German," another soldier said to the first soldier. Fred thought it was a problem. "The Druids are from Britannia, they are British, not German," Tempest said, translating it. "You're right, you're in trouble. They think you are Druids, they are enemies of Rome. Run." "Oh, thank you, run, boy, run for your life," shouted Fred, and Morganite ran off, chased by the soldiers. They ran into a building and found a family eating. The father of the family got up, screaming Latin at them in an angry voice. Fred looked puzzled. "I think he wants us to leave," said Morganite. "He did." His family looked timidly at them. "Yes," said Fred. The magicians Fred and Morganite left after apologizing, puzzling the family who didn't speak his language either. Not long later, the soldiers caught them. "Qui est tu, et que deus liquiris?" demanded the leader of the soldiers. "Who are you, and why are you talking to gods?" was what he was asked. "I don't know what you are asking me," said Fred. "Imperator Universitatis est Fridericus Alexander," boomed a disembodied voice. "He is the emperor of the universe, Fred Alexander," I said. "Sounded like you said I worked at a university," said Fred, laughing. "Num deus est?" asked the soldier. "He asked if you were a god," said Tempest. "Non magis quam tu, magus est?" I said, "No more than you, he is a sorcerer." "Est illa quomodo cum dei loquita?" the soldier asked. He said, "Is that how he is talking to the gods?" said Tempest, laughing. "Non sum deus. Filius sum eus." I said, "I am not a god. I am a son of his." "Ein druide?" asked the soldier. "No," said Tempest. "What was that about druids?" asked Morganite. "He asked me if I was a druid," Tempest said. "Tell him we must leave because the volcano is about to erupt," said Fred. "Volcano about to go boom," said Fred, miming. "They don't know about volcanoes until today. He thinks you're mad," said Tempest. "We're not going anywhere," said Morganite. "No," said Tempest. "Hey, is this the room where we found the skeletons?" said Morganite, recognizing the cell they were in. The soldiers left them as the volcano was erupting, spewing a thick blanket of ash over the town, killing all it touched, cooking, suffocating, and entombing all, including Fred and Morganite the magician. Skeletons in the cell. Meanwhile, in 2024, Fred and Morganite touched their skeletons, and they disappeared, and when they went poof, the skeletons went poof, coming back to life as fully alive men, Fred and Morganite. The skeletons disappeared. "I don't want to die again," said Fred after he came back to life. "Me either," said Morganite. The archaeologists screamed and ran off in terror. "What's wrong with them?" asked Fred. They just saw the second coming, said Lakelandite, Fred's other son, who was watching them as they came back to life. Oh, said Fred, grimacing. Oh yeah. Chapter 5, The Reaper in the Doghouse. Morg, I'm getting really worried about Dad, said Lakelandite Argent to his half-brother Morganite Argent of their father Sapphirus, who preferred to be called Fred. Honestly, so am I, said Morganite sadly. He's been trying to die again. Thankfully he can't stay dead. I'm worried he'll get caught dead returning to life again. He's getting careless. I caught him last time he was in a summit. Oh no, not again, said Lakelandite. I tried to talk to him, but he's blocking all my calls, and he has been avoiding me since I saw him die last, said Morganite. How's he doing that to you? You are his prime minister, Lakelandite asked. He's skipping his duties as the Celestial Emperor, said Morganite seriously. I'll talk to him, said Lakelandite sadly. I'll get him back in the land of the living if I have to kill him myself. Hi, boy, Fred said when he found his father sitting sadly watching Lakelandite's stepmom, who was dancing with Blake, his younger self. Fred was longingly wanting to join her in the dance in the younger man's place. Both Fred and Blake were just one-time traveler, living as different men at the same time. Who are you now? Asked Lakelandite. You know who I am? Said Fred. I was wondering. I hear you have been Harry and Carey recently, Lakelandite said cruelly. You killed any nice people recently? Asked Fred of his killer who killed the lady who caused the rift in the family, Tourmaline Green, the lady Fred dumped his secret wife Anna for. Lakelandite was under the impression she was a gold digger, which she wasn't. She truly loved Fred, as did Miss Green, who didn't know of his wife. No, said Lakelandite, sadly feeling guilty for killing Miss Green. What do you want to do? Torment me? Fred asked. No, I want to help you, said Lakelandite. How, by killing me or insulting me? Fred moaned. No, neither will work. You come back to life when you die, and insults to you are like water off a duck's back to you. I hear you are practicing killing yourself recently, said Lakelandite sardonically. Fred and Lakelandite always got on like chalk and cheese. But Fred always listened to Lakelandite. What do you want to help me with then? Said Fred, growing serious. Morgan, I think your problem is Mum, said Lakelandite. Oh really? I hadn't noticed I had a problem, moaned Fred, knowing he was right. What can I do? I am dead to her. Do what you usually do when you're dead, come back to life, said Lakelandite. Fred looked doubtfully back at his son. I've come to get you out of the dog house and let the dog back in his home, Lakelandite said. Or, did I steal your home? Fred said. Lakelandite glared at Fred for calling him a dog. Come with me, hissed Lakelandite, walking off. Fred stood up and followed his son. He was walking to Fred's wife, Anna, and Blake, her other husband. Fred caught Blake's eye, and Blake, seeing Fred coming, led Anna away. Lakelandite stopped walking and turned to Fred. Oh, I see now, Dad, it's not just her you have annoyed, said Lakelandite. He's a problem too. You hate yourself. He thinks I betrayed Anna, said Fred. You did, but she is dead. It's neither here nor there. We have to get you back with Mum, not him, said Lakelandite. No, but it would be good if he wasn't against me, said Fred. You're really messed up, said Lakelandite. I am aware of that, said Fred. And so is he, no doubt, said Lakelandite. We are one man, you know, said Fred. One mad one, said Lakelandite. Fred glared at his son. Later, while Fred was trying to talk to Anna, when Morganite and his friend Anna's cousin Argent, the opposition leader of the Galactic Parliament, Morganite, worked with him as the universe's prime minister. They chatted for a while and Fred failed to get Anna's attention. She was more interested in talking to their son Morganite and her cousin. Fred, realizing he was out of favor, sat down beside her listening to the conversation, yawning occasionally because he was growing tired at that late hour of the night. It was promising to be a very dull night. Much later, when Fred was sitting snoring in his chair, He was roughly awoken by an angry alien in black holding a gun. "Wake up, you magician dog," said the alien, shouting at him as it kicked him violently. Fred woke up in shock. "What do you want?" cried a shocked Fred, standing up, walking over to his wife and the others standing in front of her. "He wants to kill us," said Lakelandite, who was there now. Anna was very scared, as most of her brood were there. "Put the gun down," said Fred hypnotically. The gunman wanting to make an example of a minor royal, he shot at Anna to prove he was serious. Fred stepped in front of the bullet. "My angel," Fred shouted. She did. Her real name was Angela. He called her Angel like Blake, who he was privately. Anna cried, "No." Blake looked shocked. Everyone there was scared or screaming as the Emperor of the Universe hit the ground dead. The gunman looked shocked. He knew who he killed, and he would pay for it. Suddenly out of thin air appeared a Grim Reaper. It walked to the Emperor's kill, and in a desperate act of love and want to stop the carnage he saw was about to start, he waved his sickle decapitating the killer. Then he knelt down over the dead Emperor and touched him, disappearing into the Emperor to the horror of the horde of other guests in the ballroom. The Emperor slowly healing and then getting up, Anna ran to his side, hugging and kissing him a lot. "Lake, you're alive," she said to him as she kissed him. "Apparently," said Fred, noticing the scared, bemused faces of the people who didn't know he could do that. Meanwhile, Argent said accusingly, "You are dead." Anna glared at her cousin. "What gave you that idea?" Fred snapped back. "Let him be, he's just been shot," Morganite replied. "He isn't even hurt," the opposition leader, Argent, said, stating the obvious. Fred looked nervous. "Why are you defending the pretender?" Morganite accused Argent. "You know," replies Morganite darkly. "I do?" said Argent. "It is my job protecting him," said Morganite. "It is his time to fall," said Argent. "No, it isn't, you meddling fool," said Morganite, knowing Argent organized the Emperor's fall. "How dare you," said Argent. "This is not Coward's Castle, I can speak my mind," said Morganite. "I can't bring down him twice, you are nothing, just an aberration that shouldn't exist," said Argent in Morganite's head. "I may be an aberration, but next time you play with people fate, be careful when you reincarnate people. I am as much a fate as you are," said Morganite aloud. "You ungrateful dog," hissed Argent, betrayed. "Your horse has bolted," Morganite snapped. "Lakelandite, kill him," Argent barked at his assassin. "Do it yourself, you old blowhard," Lakelandite snapped back. "You must kill him, I told you to kill him, you can't refuse me," Argent said, sounding like a dictator who was in a revolution he was losing, and he knew it. Anna was pleading with her cousin to spare her son. "You kill him yourself, Fate," said Lakelandite aloud. Argent slew his foe, Morganite, with a strong magic spell. He exploded. "You killed him," screamed Anna bitterly at her cousin. Argent was arrested. As he was being dragged away, a Grim Reaper appeared, no doubt to take the souls. He walked up to the remains of Morganite, touched him, and he reformed and came back to life like his father. "You are his son," accused Argent. "What gave that away?" asked Morganite. Anna ran to her son, hugging him. She didn't know he was like his father. He came back to life where he died. Fred walked over to Morganite, messing his hair up proudly as they dragged Argent away for murdering the Prime Minister, who wasn't dead now. Argent protested that his victim was alive again, but no one cared. "This is the end of the Empire. With no living Emperor, the Empire will fall with the universe," said Fred sadly. "Yes, Dad," agreed Morganite sadly, knowing he was right. The end, striked out. Epilogue. "I won't let it end like this," said Morganite, who took in a deep breath and shouted, "Tempest, open a portal." A wormhole opened up, and a voice shouted out of it. "Morg, stop shouting, I can hear you." Morganite brought his parents Anna and Fred and Blake and his brother Lakelandite with him when he went to visit his brother the Timekeeper, Tempest. "Hello Morgan," said Tempest grumpily, seeing him. "What do you want?" "To go back into the past and stop the terrorist before he kills Dad," said Morganite. "Easy, but he will kill anyone who tries to stop him," said Tempest. "We can send Lakelandite, he's good at killing," said Fred. "Wondered why I was here," said the disgruntled assassin of Argent. "Yes, you are the only killer here," said Blake. "Can't someone else do the job?" grumbled Lakelandite. "No," said Morganite, knowing he was the only one who could do the job. With the fall of Fred would bring a reign of anarchy and war, with everyone trying to fill in the vacuum that the discovery that Fred was a dead man would bring. It was like the moon falling on the earth, it was the Empire's and universe end. They sent Lakelandite back in time to kill the assassin of the Emperor, who would in so cause the apocalypse in the form of an intergalactic war, causing the end of the Earth and all life in the universe. Lakelandite killed the assassin and returned to his family in the halls of time. Only they knew what happened and how close it was till the end of life in the universe, and let Fred out of the doghouse. Fred's younger self forgave him for his betrayal, as Fred thought more of saving their wife Anna than his life and the Empire. He'd rather she lived than the Empire did. It was a selfless act. The real end.
I am entering a new age, the age of treason. Treason to my love, treason to my heart, treason to myself, treason to my wife. Why did she have to come and take my heart? Why did I have to love her? Why did she have to die? We were happy together. Why did you have to go where I can never go? I cannot be with you in death. I cannot stay dead. I miss you. Entering a new age, the age of treason. Treason to my love, treason to my heart, treason to myself, treason to my wife. Why did she have to come and take my heart? Why did I have to love her? Why did she have to die? We were happy together. Why did you have to go where I can never go? I cannot be with you in death. I cannot stay dead. I miss you. Entering a new age, the age of treason. Treason to my love, treason to my heart, treason to myself, treason to my wife. Why did she have to come and take my heart? Why did I have to love her? Why did she have to die?